Take your time setting up underneath the barbell and take your time slowly unracking the bar with a good squat stance. Build your stance a half step out of the squat rack. You don't need to go for a walk with the barbell. And grip with the floor, grip with your feet into the floor, torque through the ankle, knee, and hip, set the glutes, the abs, the ribs down, and pack the neck. With that technique, you should be rock solid for this movement. This is a compound movement, so you've got to have great mobility at most joints in your body. So ankles, knees, hips, spinal posture, everything's got to come together.
Okay, so for the barbell back squat, everything we've taught you about core bracing and torque through the hips, knees, ankles, and feet, and even in the shoulders and neck posture, it's all got to come together. So I'm going to put that together for you right now. Now, there's also some other things that we need to know before we start squatting. So on the barbell, we have rings. We have rings on the barbell. So for me, I'm going to use that ring to determine where my grip placement is. I'm going to put my middle finger on both grips in order to make sure I'm centered in the squat rack. And that's a smart way for you to center your body, because if you don't use the rings and just grab the bar and go in there, you could have an off-centered barbell position, which leads to a very awkward setup with the barbell on your back, and it leads to compensation. So utilize those lines with your grip, either putting your pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky on the ring, or just a pinch inside, but utilize those lines to perfect your grip placement and the placement of the bar on your back. The barbell back squat is a move where you can lift a lot of weight, and if you're lifting a lot of weight, even just half an inch can make a big difference in your squat setup and everything like that. So make sure everything is in good alignment when the barbell is on your back. So real quick from the front here, I want to show you what I'm focused on here is I want to grip the floor with my feet. I want to create torque through the ankle, knee, and hip. I want to make sure my ribs are down and my abs are ready for a punch. Neck is packed, chin is tucked, and I'm going to want to make sure that my elbows are in line with my back, pretty well in line. They can flare up just a little bit, but pretty well in line with my back. Okay, so let's go for it. Middle finger on each ring. I'm gonna stare at the center of the bar. That's my little trick for getting that barbell evenly placed on my back. Now I have used the mirror to kind of feel it out, make sure I'm centered, but now that I've memorized how that should feel, I usually get in and out pretty much precisely in the middle of the bar every time. So work on getting under the bar right in the middle so that when you're squatting, there's no sideways or lateral shifts to compensate for a misplaced barbell. All right, middle finger on the rings, staring at the middle of the bar. I'm gonna build a quality squat stance underneath the barbell, and then I'm gonna back it out. Okay, so grip the floor with your feet. Create torque through your ankles, knees, and hips. Make sure glutes are locked on, ribs are down, neck is packed, and arms are in line with your back. So I think you guys could hear my breathing as well there. I was breathing out very forcefully as I went up, and I would take a deep breath in at the top and hold it all the way down, and I breathe out on the way back up. So to show you again without the barbell, I'll just pretend I'm holding the barbell. You want to breathe out all the way up to the top, breathe in at the top. That's proper breathing for heavy squat work. If you're doing light squat work, say you're doing a WOD or sort of a CrossFit style workout where you're using a lighter weight. Not that CrossFitters don't use heavy weights, but just let's say with this WOD that you're performing, it's a lighter weight that you can really handle. You might choose to breathe in on the way down and breathe out on the way up so that you can pace yourself. Kind of like you would with a body weight squat. But again, the heavier that weight gets, the more likely you're going to naturally breathe in at the top and hold it. That sets the pressure in your core. You're gonna hold that all the way down and then on the way up. When you're exerting force, that's when you breathe out. Why do we hold our breath on the way down under that heavy load? We don't want our abdominal pressure to change. Our abdominal pressure changes when we're breathing. So it's better to, especially with heavier weights, it's okay for your abdominal pressure to change when you're just lifting your body weight. But when you're holding, 135 pounds on your back or more, it's safer and smarter to take a deep breath in and hold, set that pressure, maintain that pressure until you're coming back up and you're breathing out. And as you breathe out, you're gonna find you create even more pressure. So that's ideal breathing. Let's talk about foot placement. I want your heels right around outside your hip pockets. If you had hip pockets right here or pockets right at the top of your pants, that's where I'd want your feet to be, just outside of those pockets. If you don't have pockets, just outside of your outer hip. Now you can go a little bit narrower than that, and you can go a little bit wide of that. I recommend you fiddle with that a little bit and find out where you're most comfortable. Beware, the wider you go, the harder it is to shove your knees out, create torque, and keep your knees out unless you're very flexible. So keep those heels somewhere around this region. Think about a natural squat. If I were to just hang out down on the ground right now, where are my heels? That's pretty much where I want a barbell back squat. Do I want to squat that deep? Not necessarily, but in terms of foot placement, that's how I want to set my foot width. All right, toe flare. How much toe flare are you allowed to have? Well, you don't have to squat with your feet dead straight forward. However, the more you flare out your feet, the less torque you'll be able to generate into the floor. So we know now that when you create torque through the ankle, knee, and hip, that's the safest way to structure your leg underneath load. So sacrificing torque is a silly move when you're doing the heavy barbell back squat. So I recommend anywhere from, 5 to 25 degrees of flare out, and then grip the floor with your feet and create torque. That's a great place for your ankles, your feet, and overall the whole movement should feel good in that place. Flaring out more than that might mean you have an ankle mobility issue, and I highly recommend you get into that ankle joint distraction work and ankle mobility work with the knee to wall. Roll out the soleus muscle, that's the bottom of your calf. Roll out the bottom of your feet. Just get everything smashed open and moving better so you can improve your ankle mobility. That way you won't need to compensate with your feet out, which is going to be so much better for your knees and hips. And the total lift, because when you can't apply torque to the total lift, you're going to be weaker. Get that torque, you're going to be stronger. So there's your reason why you want to train ankle mobility. Okay, so when you're squatting, a lot of people have the tendency to arch their lower back on the way down, and that's a big no-no. So just watch my pelvis and my sternum here. So when people create their setup, they've done a great job of squeezing their glutes, their ribs are down, their abs are on, neck's packed, everything's great. They've created torque. What's their first move down? Well, they're gonna shove their butt out. What do they shove their butt out with? They arch their lower back. Look what happened there. My hands are moving further apart. I'm losing tension in my spine. I'm hyperextending at the lower back. That is a big no-no. So we gotta bring proper hinging mechanics to the squat. We've got to hinge through our hip joints, not through our lumbar spine. All right, so I'll show you again. Chin tucked, neck packed, create torque, glutes, abs, ribs. From here, we can hinge. All right, that's a very good move. It might feel like you're tipping over. Good, that's what hinging is. And from there, we lock that in and we go down. And we push through the quads on the way back up. That is a good squat move. So we want to get rid of that arch on the way down. We also don't want to flex here like this. That would be a bad position. My knees have gone forward, my butt has not gone back enough. So we got to find that balance. Lock in the glutes, ribs down, neck packed, abs ready for a punch. And then you can practice doing this. Put your thumb on your pubic bone, put your other thumb on your sternum or your chest bone right here, and then see if you can go down, start the hinge without those hands moving apart. Are my abs on? Yes. Are my ribs down? Yes. Here's an example of ribs flared. Oops. Lower back, arches, ribs tend to flare. See how those two things are connected? Ribs down, neck packed. Now I'm in a good place. I'm safe. Glutes are firing, abs are firing, thoracic spine is extended. That's where we want to be when we squat. So push up into that plank posture at the top of the move. That's another cue that I give my clients. When clients finish the squat, think about the plank posture that you've trained for your core training. We want to push up into a plank. We don't want to push up into anything like this or anything like this. We want to push up into a plank, just like that. That's where we want to be. So think plank at your elbows or plank at your wrists. What's that position? That's what we want to fire up into. So I think that's a lot of information to chew on for the squat, but again, it is a compound movement, meaning it's got so many joints involved with this exercise. It's a great exercise for the body, wonderful for building muscle mass, building strength, and a healthy frame. But again, that's when everything's hinging properly. So make sure you've mastered good ankle and foot mechanics, good knee and hip positions, good neck positions around a braced core with your ribs down, and good breathing, and you'll be able to reap the benefits and the rewards from training this exercise. Good luck, have fun.